Welcome to Get in the Hole. I'm your host, Steve McAvoy. We have a tremendous show in store for you this week as the golf world sets their eyes on Bethpage, Long Island, and the People's Country Club, Bethpage Black, for the 45th edition of the Ryder Cup. On this week's episode, we'll break down every hole at Bethpage and provide in-depth coverage on where we stand as we head into the 45th clash of the golfing titans. I'll give you clubhouse chatter and what I'm hearing in the golf world over the last week. I give you five bold predictions on for what to expect at Bethpage, and of course the return of beer money, and I'll give you my picks for the tournament, including a hefty long shot that I think you're going to love. It's Get in the Hole, and it starts right now.
Subscribe to Get in the Hole Pod.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Once again, I'm your host, Stephen McAvoy, and welcome to episode 223 of the Get in the Hole podcast, presented by 47 brand. I got to tell you guys, there's nothing better as we enter the fall season than a nice, cool, crisp hat to rock on the course and off. And now, of course, as the MLB playoffs come on, the NFL season's in full swing. You can get your hands on some of the best gear, all at the hands of our friends at 47 brand. Go check out the link in our description and get your hands on some awesome 47 merch today, from hats to jackets, shirts, pants, and the like. 47's got you rocking from the first hole to the 19th green on your walk to the gym, your walk to the grocery store, and just everyday casual wear, all at your fingertips. Free shipping when you create an account at 47 brand, link in our description. As a quick reminder, each week you can follow us at Get in the Hole Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for updates across the golfing world. And you can find myself at Steve McAvoy. It's 2 underscores as well after the McAvoy on both Twitter and Instagram. Folks, let's get right on into the good stuff. We start off with some Course Confidential and breaking down Bethpage Black. As we approach the 45th Ryder Cup, a lot of moving pieces are happening. And don't worry, we're going to talk all about the good stuff. We're going to talk about the players, talk about the matchups, what's happening this week at Bethpage. But before we get into everything, I want to kind of break down where we stand right now in terms of the overall matchup, the all-time facing matchup of the Ryder Cup. We have a very historic event coming up, and I don't think it can be understated by how many moments have led up to this point, right? For the Americans, going back to 2023, it was Zach Johnson and the Boys Club. It was the ultimate disappointment at the hands of a really strong European team that comes into this year running back the old team, right? It's the same team, only missing Sepp Straka's hair, and they swapped out a twin. Like, this team is stacked beyond words, and it's a very different kind of team than it was in 2023. Back then, Tommy Fleetwood hadn't won a PGA Tour event. Rory McIlroy still had the Grand Slam looming over his head. Jon Rahm was still a member of the PGA Tour. It's a very different kind of team. And then you look at over at Team USA, and their whole mantra has shifted in 2 years. No Jordan Spieth, no Ricky Fowler. Harris English rejoins the fold. A lot of rookies, Cameron Young, Russell Henley, JJ Spawn, and Ben Griffin now joining the fold. And honestly, having really good seasons going into this tournament, where a lot of the guys who were on Zach Johnson's squad at Marcus Simone in Rome were not at the level that the guys here in America are at. So where do we stand right now? There have been a total of 1,040 individual matches played in the last 44 Ryder Cups. Of these, the U.S. has won 501, Europe has won 396, and 143 matches have been halved. The U.S. has a score total of 572.5 to Europe's 467.5. You go back to the historics behind the overall wins and who has dominated in this sort of setup. The USA holds the overall record against Team Europe. But I must tell you, it's a very different sort of atmosphere this year as it is in years past. The USA has 27 Ryder Cup wins to Europe's 15. But if you look over the last few years, even going back to 2000, absolute dominance from the European side. Last year, of course, won by 5 points at Marcus Simone. At Whistling Straits in 2021, the USA dominated a 19-9 win, one of the largest margins of victory in Ryder Cup history. But from 2010 to, well, really from 2000, from 95 basically on, it's all been Europe. We go from the bottom up. In 95, Europe won by 1 point. 97, they won by a point. In 99, the U.S. won by a point. And then the Europeans won 4 out of 5 to begin the 2000s. 02 won 15.5 to 12.5. 1 in 04, 06, 1 in 2010. They're the only group to have won an away Ryder Cup in the last over 20 years when they did that at Acorn Hills back in 2004. It's very challenging to win an away Ryder Cup. And really, it's only the Europeans who have experience in that department. If you go back in history, the last time the Americans won a away Ryder Cup was 1993 at the Belfry. And prior to that, it wasn't until 1981. Very seldom do you see a team win a road Ryder Cup. And that's also why the odds board, as we'll talk later on, folks here can hear me. There we go. We're back. As I was saying, it's very challenging to win an away Ryder Cup. And as the lines currently pan out, a little bit of a spoiler alert for later on in the show. Currently, the USA is minus 150 to win the Ryder Cup. Europe's plus 170, and a tie is plus 1,000. Ties typically, I don't think I've ever happened in the history of the Ryder Cup. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's ever happened. It may have happened once a long time ago, but we come into this event with two very different teams. One, the same kind of players that have different sorts of style at this point. And then a U.S. team that is completely different and has a lot of different pieces and mechanisms to it that you would think on paper the Europeans have the ultimate advantage. But in reality, I think this is actually a much closer event than you think. And with that being said, we're going to break it all down right here. Course Confidential, breaking down Bethpage. I don't have a full hole-by-hole guide, unfortunately, so you're going to have to stick with me and bear with my words as I try and explain the golf course to you in the absolute best of ways. And I wanted to find a unique way to approach this because this event is not only historic from a perspective of being a fan of golf, right? Enjoying the Ryder Cup, being interested in a rivalry that really is actually really heated. The European side, just today, Ian Poulter, the infamous Ian Poulter, went out and said, "Oh, like Europeans are classy, but New Yorkers and Americans are all scumbags and they're horrible people." But last time I checked, in 2023, the USA players were saying there were some pretty ruckus and horrible things being spewed by the Europeans. I don't want to get into politics here about the actual players, but I don't think there's a good person on either side when it comes to a rivalry like this. We've seen plenty of drama. Patrick Cantlay last year with the hat. He actually got questions about the hat today in his post-round presser. He was giving you guys the death stare. Rory was making comments. We'll talk more about those in a little bit. But this is a very heated rivalry, and it's a very different sort of rivalry. And now you enter New York, right? It's where I'm from. You all know that I'm a New Yorker through and through. I grew up out on Long Island. Bethpage is right around the corner for all of us. It's the People's Country Club. It's the place that I grew up learning how to play golf. And this golf course is different than most courses that you'll go out and play really anywhere in the world. It's a brute, the challenging golf course. It's one that you do not usually get a lot of fair breaks at. It's one of the hardest rated courses in the world. The maximum slope rating for a golf course, according to the USGA and GITH, is a 155. It ranks in at a 155. The average score for people who played it this year was a 96, and that's based on people with 10 handicaps or higher. So clearly, even the low end handicaps are struggling on this golf course. And as somebody who's played it and has walked it, has caddied it, has viewed it for majors, I don't have the authority necessarily to tell you exactly where it's going to be scoreable and not. But from my various experiences of being able to talk to people and talk to caddies and talk to the folks who play at Bethpage, be a local, I've learned that there are opportunities here for scoreability that I think we will see this week. And I think there's a good opportunity for Team USA to capitalize based on their style. So how's it playing, right? I walked the grounds last week. I got a chance to walk Bethpage State Park. I saw some of the insane like mini city that they managed to build out in Bethpage. When it's crazy because like you look at the property and it's in the middle of suburbia. It's not really like anything gated off and crazy. It's a local municipal golf course, just like anything else. They literally built a mini city, and you look at the hospitality center, it looks so different than when I played it in the past. But compare it to the PGA Championship in 2018, compare it to the US Open in 2019, compare it to the US Open in 09 and 02. It's a very different golf course. Style hasn't changed at all. It's the same length. It's been the same length for forever. I would say that the golf course's greens are not playing as challenging as they usually are, nor is the rough. The rough, they have only grown it out to about 2.5 inches, 3 inches. It's usually way thicker for majors. They want to promote scoreability. They want you to be able to challenge the golf course and make it exciting. So naturally, they're not going to play it like a US Open or like a PGA Championship would typically. I talked to one of the caddies who I actually met when I was caddying for Ben at the Long Island Open. And he told me that the biggest challenge of this golf course is not necessarily on the green or or off the tee. It's getting to the green. The golf course is a brute. It's 7,300 yards. It plays long, and it's going to play even longer with the weather in the forecast. It's supposed to rain the entirety of the week. Thankfully, we haven't gotten any sort of rain patterns yet. There was rain due on Monday and Tuesday today, but haven't gotten really anything. The expectation is that the opening ceremonies were delayed from Thursday to Wednesday. So if you're listening to this late, it got moved up as a result of the projected rain. It's supposed to rain the hardest on Saturday during round 2 of events. So we'll see how things happen. But with that rain, the ball is going to travel shorter. The course is going to play longer. It's going to really play into the guys who can mash it. But the rough isn't as thick. It's playing long. The bunkers are really well placed. The protected greens are the hardest part to get there. And you're going to have a lot of approaches from 175 or longer, probably 200 yards or more. That 7,300 yards is really going to come into play in the middle half of this golf course. So where's the prime scoring area? Well, first of all, the first tee was moved up from a typical 410 yard par 4 to now a drivable 397 yard par 4. For reference, Bryson and JT were going for the green earlier today on Tuesday as we record, and Bryson hit it 365. I think someone can drive this green. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'll tell you right now, when Bryson DeChambeau walks out on the tee, likely for the first match, he's going to mash the ball. If you look at the golf course from the tee box, it kind of goes this way. Or for those watching ahead of me, it actually goes this. Yeah, it goes this way. So the green is here. He took a line from right there directly at the green over the fans. Like, it was maybe the most absurd line that I've seen from Bryson DeChambeau since he carried the water at Bay Hill. He's going to go for it. JT probably going to go for it. Scheffler will go for it. I think Cameron Young is going to end up playing with Bryson. We'll talk more about that in a bit. If Cameron Young is taking the tee shot, he's going for it as well. The longest hitters are going to go for it. But the first 3 holes, in my opinion, are the easiest part of the golf course. 2 could be a little challenging, but depends on how you look at it. So the first tee, pretty straight up, 397 yards, drivable par 4 if you get it with the wind, and then usually the wind direction is going that north to south. So you should be able to get some sort of wind to help you out there. The second hole, you're not going to see a lot of drivers. It's going to be 3 woods, 2 irons, low hanging shots at the dog leg left. You want to keep it out to the right. You have about 140 yards over a hanging tree in order to get to the green. The green is relatively small, bunkers all the way around, but it's certainly a gettable hole so long as you don't hit the ball too far left. Par 3, long par 3 at that. Let me actually pull up the yardages. Ryder Cup yardages. So we can actually give you a full in-depth course flow. Beautiful. The third hole, par 3, 210 yards. It's going to be relatively easy to get there. There are 2 bunkers on the left side, 1 on the right. It's a long, almost looks like actually, for lack of a better term, it looks like a penis. All the way down to the back of the green, slopes a little bit of a false front. So you want to be able to carry it, but probably you're going to end up playing it short. Hold yourself for a long putt. The latter rounds, you're probably going to see a back tucked pin location. Or you might see ones closer to the sides where you only have about 2 or 3 paces off from the fringe. So should be a gettable hole. The par 5 fourth, 517 yards, 3-tiered fairway. Find the fairway, left side bunker in play. If you can avoid the bunker, you'll have probably about a 230-yard shot, 50 feet blind uphill. Getting to the green is honestly the easy part here. It's a 3-wood shot or a hybrid shot that you're going to have from that tier, blind all the way up the hill. Guys are probably going to end up laying up, but if you want to get aggressive, the green is relatively small. There are 2 bunkers guarding that green, but it's relatively gettable if you lay it out to the right. And if it's downwind, it's going to be even more difficult because of the fact that you're going to have to hold it with the wind. The fifth hole, par 4, in my opinion, one of the hardest holes on the golf course, 478 yards, massive cross bunkers hugging the right side. You got to be able to play it to the right side against those bunkers to find the green, tree lined all the way to the green where it's almost covering that green as well, and about a 15-foot upslope to get to the green as well. So you're getting to a relatively small, elevated, and well-bunkered green on the 5th hole. So 4 and 5 are 2 of the hardest holes on the front 9, but otherwise it relatively opens up. 6 through 9 are all scoreable. On the 6th hole, it's a relatively short par 4, 408 yards. If you could find the hill that slopes down, you have about 120 yards in. Should be a relatively easy chip shot, scoreable there. The 7th hole, dog leg right. The fairway bunkers are passable by a relatively good chunk. 524-yard par 4, you'll have about 180 yards in. Also a scoreable hole. Avoid the bunkers on the near side of that green. You go to the 8th hole, par 3, the only hole with water on the course, but the water is really almost out of play. So long as you can find the green, it's all towards the front. Bunkers in the back, but a large green for the most part, sloping downhill. So be able to find the top lip and let it roll down. The 9th hole, also scoreable as well. Really wide open fairway, probably one of the widest open fairways on the golf course, but a large bunker on the left side as the dog leg skirts left. Just play it out to the right. You'll have about a 200-yard hole in on the 9th, a 460-yard par 4. 10 and 11 are really the most link-style golf you're going to get. Straight up, down one way, down back the other. 502-yard par 4. Very straightaway hole. Bunkers draping the left and right sides. So it's keeping it straight is going to be absolutely paramount. 11th hole is very similar style as well. 435-yard par 4. Same kind of situation. Legitimately, the bunkers run from the beginning of the fairway to the green. So keep it straight. And those high bunker lips are going to really be a pain in the ass. The 12th hole, par 4, 496. This is going to be one of the harder holes as well in the course. Dog leg left. You have to be able to carry the bunker about 300 yards to be able to, or about 280, to be able to get it over the bunker and then have a clear shot to the green. You're still going to have about 230, 240 in. And usually you're going into the wind on a shot like that. The 13th hole, long par 5, 608 yards. Certainly reachable. It's relatively straightforward. And if the course is in firm condition, it's definitely reachable in 2. I would say guys are probably going to end up laying up. It's a pretty straight up hole, and it is a scoreable one at that, as well as the 14th, par 3, sloping green all the way down to the right, 1 bunker out in front at about a 10-foot drop. You should be able to find the green, get open, and play for your par. 15, 16, 17, 18, the cross over the road. You're back onto the main portion of the property. While it looks so simple, 15, 16, and really 18, they're so hard in their own respective ways. The 15th hole, it's straight, it's long, it's a par 4, 477 yards. You're going 50 feet above the fairway to a 2-tier green. That's so hard to hit. And if you do hit it, you're probably hitting it long or you're hitting it short into the bunker. So I would highly advise guys just go long and play the short game well. 16, you go down the hill in the opposite direction going back. 60 feet, you're dropping 60 feet to a narrow fairway, another bunker on the left side guarding, really guarded green. So that's going to be the biggest challenge there. 17, in my opinion, hardest hole in the property. Par 3, green side bunkers everywhere, 2-tiered and sloping down to the right. You're going to see pin locations that are going to be stuff that you've never seen before on a golf course. That's one of the hardest holes, in my opinion, on the course, and it plays long as well. Even though it's a par 3, 179, it's going to play more like 200. The 18th hole, the classic and the historic hole at that, very similar to the 12th hole that I had mentioned earlier, 411 yards, goes uphill to a relatively open green, but very well bunkered. Bunkers on both sides, very narrow fairway, need to hit it straight. Overall, after me splurging on all of that, I would say the scoreability of this golf course, 1 through 3 is where you want to find the most scoring. 6 through 9, I think 10 and 11, if you can hit it straight, are scoreable. 13, maybe gettable. 14 is scoreable, and then 15 through 18, just play for par. That's basically the way that I'm looking at this golf course. You want to win on the front 9. That's how you dominate this golf course. If you can find a way to score early, score in the middle, and hold off your opponent on the back 9, you should be in pretty good shape. So there it is, breaking down Bethpage. I apologize for the rant on kind of the speed run on these holes, but throughout the week, I'll be keeping updated stats and numbers on the golf course. I'll hopefully try and be on the golf course as well to give you more of a look. But I really do think that the middle portion of this course from 6 through 9, 10, 11, 13, 14 is really going to be the bulk of the scoring. You're not going to be able to do it on 4 and 5. You're not going to be able to do it 15 through 18. And if you're stuck firing at pins, you're going to be in a really tough spot. But match play is a very different animal, and I think that's really what makes this event very interesting. This isn't a match play kind of golf course, but they're going to turn it into one, and I certainly think it's going to be something that you're going to want to look out for. Let's get into the clubhouse chatter. What I'm hearing in the golf world this week, presented by our friends over at Acorn Hills. My favorite merch partners, they're changing clothing through conservation by offering eco-friendly packaging, materials, and clothing tags on styles that you'll love. Go to acornhillsco.com, use code GITH15, that's Get in the Hole 15, to get 15% off your next order on their fall collection and everything from quarter zips to shirts, hoodies for off the course, and hats for as the weather starts to get colder, you can stay styling and wilding with Acorn Hills. Again, acornhillsco.com, use code GITH15 to get 15% off your next order. Again, acornhillsco.com. And look your best from the ground up. We start off with what I liked this week in the golf world. I like the fact that Bethpage is going to actually host more. I am interested in seeing what the PGA Tour does in the coming years. We obviously know from major sites, they announce things all the time. But over the weekend, I found out Bethpage Black is going to actually host the 2026 Women's PGA Championship. It's also going to host the 2033 Men's PGA Championship. And I love this for a lot of different reasons. I was talking to a lot of the players when they came to the Truist at Philly Cricket, and I realized like a lot of the sentiment of players was that they love the idea of playing in a environment that's different than what they usually play in, right? They go to the fall swing, you go to all these different golf courses in Mississippi and Florida and Texas and the Carolinas. You come to the regular part of the season, and it's kind of the same thing every year. You go to Hawaii, you go to California, you go to Florida, go to Texas. You have those few weeks mixed in where you go to the Travelers and you play a major at an East Coast golf course in the Carolinas or Pennsylvania. You go to Illinois and you go to Minnesota, but not having a consistent northeastern spot outside of the Travelers, I think, is a real detriment to the world of golf, because the kind of golf courses that you can play in the Northeast are so fascinating and they're beautiful. Next year, the USGA is going to host the US Open at Shinnecock. That's going to be incredible. Last time they've been to Shinnecock was almost 10 years ago. So it'll be great to see that golf course back in the limelight. Friars Head out in Riverhead, they want to be able to host a major sometime soon. Sabonic is a great golf course out here. Eisenhower used to host majors back in the day. I'm sure Bethpage would love to host another event in the coming years outside of the 2033 PGA Championship. But even outside of that, right? Going back to Pennsylvania, going to New Jersey, going to play Ridgewood and Pine Hills or Liberty National. You go to Massachusetts and you go play the Country Club and you play TPC Boston and all these different places. There are so many opportunities for great golf in the Northeast, and I love the fact that Bethpage is getting to come back for 2 more rounds at the 26 Women's PGA and the 33 Men's PGA. What did I not like this week in the world of golf? It's really an unfortunate story to find this one out, but the Century will not be played this year at Kapalua due to wildfires and an immense drought currently happening in the Hawaii area. They have no confirmation as to what course will host the event. The following week, following Kapalua, they'll go play at Wailea Country Club. They haven't announced where to play. I've never been to Hawaii. However, I do have family that's been to Hawaii, and they played some golf. They claim that there are some really beautiful courses to go out there and play. They can go to the island of Kauai, play Poipu Bay, which is another Robert Trent Jones design. Jason Scott Deegan from Golf Pass said Hokualu Ocean Course, very similar to Poipu. They host actually a college golf event, the John Burns Intercollegiate, every single year, so they already have the pedigree to host a big-time tournament. There's also Wiley's Gold Course, so they usually play the Sony at the Emerald Course. They could always play the Gold Course there as well. It's a Jack Nicklaus design. It's kind of it's the sister course. It's not ideal. Who wants to play the same course essentially in 2 weeks? It's not great, but it's doable. Other folks want to bring it to California. They want to go play Torrey Pines again. They want to go play Riviera. They want to play somewhere else in the area. I'm personally not buying that. I think it should stay in Hawaii. It's great for the economy of Hawaii, and it'd be great to be able to host a golf course on Maui. Not necessarily at Kapalua, of course, but somewhere nearby where they can do relief efforts as well for the folks in Hawaii. So I think that'll be a really good opportunity. Let's get to what I heard. And I want to say this. I love golf.com. They do tremendous coverage of the golf week in and week out. And I want to give flowers to Dylan Dethier for maybe one of the best stories that I personally commiserate with this week at the Ryder Cup. They had a great video interview story with Keegan Bradley. It was titled Crossing the Road. And I think it's a beautiful account of who Keegan Bradley is as a person. Now, the last month has been really interesting for Captain Keegan, right? You go back to 2 years ago, didn't get the nod for the Ryder Cup from Zach Johnson. On full swing, he was devastated, and you saw it. 6 months later, they announced he's going to be the captain at Bethpage. And then you dig through Keegan Bradley's story, and this is what I love about Keegan. He's one of, 3 or 4 active players who are from the Northeast, alongside Cameron Young being the other one. There aren't really many. He's from Vermont. He grew up in cold weather climates. He didn't play warm golf like everybody else. He was a cold kind of kid. He kind of had this chip on his shoulder, a Northeast energy that a lot of guys don't typically have. They're all very laid back. They're very easygoing. Keegan was different. He wasn't heavily recruited. He got looked at by St. John's and URI. That was literally it. He went to St. John's. He thrived with a full ride because he couldn't afford anywhere else to go. And St. John's is really where he blew. And the beauty of this is the story that's been surfacing for months on end, ever since he got announced as the captain, was he would only be able to play 2 through 14. He had to go to the other side of the road. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Bethpage, the first hole then leads you to what's called Round Swamp Road, the road that runs directly through the golf course, and there's a tunnel underneath. And you take the tunnel to get to the second hole. He was never allowed to play the main part of the property because Black was closed on Mondays. But the course superintendent or the caddy master, whoever it was, knew the head coach at St. John's and allowed the guys to play. And they could play 2 through 14, or no one saw them, and they were off and away because the property leads away and then comes back in. So they played 2 through 14, and they would go home because you could never cross over to the main part of the property, play 15 through 18. And that road, Round Swamp Road, is really symbolic because Keegan, his whole life, could not cross the road. And yes, you could say multiple times he played Bethpage in majors. But this is different. He's doing it as the captain. He goes from college kid who had to be off and away and out of sight, out of mind, to the leader of this massive body of really a nation that's different than any other role that you could possibly have in golf. And I love the fact that Keegan Bradley is the captain of this team. I love the fact that a local-ish guy is the person to lead this team. And I love the fact that he's not playing in the Ryder Cup. And I will say this, I was a little bit upset when he didn't announce himself on the team. I have my quips with who's on the team. It's been well documented on this show. But I think at the end of the day, what Keegan is doing is making this not about him, while at the same time making it about him. Let me explain. He doesn't want the limelight. He doesn't want to be the guy who is the first player captain since Keegan Bradley. And he doesn't want the pressure of being the guy to pick himself and then lose. I totally get it. Instead, he chose 12 guys who he thinks he could put together a really rock-solid team and win. And he said this when he was announced, and he said it at the very end of Full Swing. He said, I've been underestimated my entire life. And he said, quote, we're going to go to Bethpage and kick their fucking ass. And I think he chose the right team to do it. He's not a player captain. I find it really strange sometimes when people talk about, oh, like player captain this, player captain that. Like, it takes away from your position. Him being independent, him being just the captain and not being a player, he's gotten closer with his players. He's been able to assess them better. He's not focusing on getting his game intact. He's not doing media while having to train on the golf course. He's able to take a step back. There's a great photo that Golf put out of him and his father on the first green, watching guys putt. Just him sharing a moment with his dad. Keegan's been able to take this team and has been able to put on programming and bring on people who are locals to Long Island like myself and give experiences. Again, great stuff from golf.com over the week. I saw it this morning. An FDNY fireman told the story of his father's losing his life in 9/11 and said that as a lieutenant in the FDNY, his job is to get his guys ready, go out into the field, serve, and get them home safely. And he's like, Keegan's doing the same thing. He's preparing you to go into battle. And he is the captain. Yes, the lieutenant's on the front line with you. But the lieutenant isn't necessarily going into the fire. He's getting you ready to go into the fire because he's been there before. Keegan is doing that with his players. A lot of great stuff from golf.com. A lot of great stuff from Keegan Bradley. Love the fact that he's put together this team. Love everything that I have heard surrounding this Ryder Cup. I find this fascinating, too, that of all the places that we can put Keegan Bradley, it's here. It's where he feels at home. It's where he went to college. It's where he grew up, relatively. Bethpage Black is Keegan Bradley. Bethpage Black is Long Island. It is USA. And I'm telling you right now, the thing that I love the most about this tournament is the fans are going to be loud. As a New Yorker, they're going to be roll up on you, man. And that leads me into, actually, it doesn't lead me in. I'll get to it in a minute. Actually, you know what? Let's switch it around a little bit. What excited me this week in the world of golf? Well, you want to know what it's like to come to New York? Yeah, maybe you've gone to a Giants game or a Rangers game or a Yankee game, Mets game, whatever the 9 New York sports teams are in New York, and you probably have heard some shit. You haven't been Rory McIlroy entering Bethpage Black after talking shit about Bryson DeChambeau and the fans absolutely berating him during practices. That's been happening after Rory McIlroy talked shit about Bryson DeChambeau the other day. He said, quote, something will happen at Bethpage, maybe me, maybe not. The only way Bryson gets attention is by mentioning other people and clawing off their shirt backs. Not only was Rory saying stuff like this, but Brandel Chambly was saying stuff as well on Golf Channel. Brandel got up, and of course, in typical European fashion, supporting his team, spewing European propaganda, was going off and saying that Bryson is bad for the team room. He doesn't connect with the players well. He's a little bit different. Well, clearly, you haven't seen what Bryson's done for his teammates over the last few years. He's been a cog in the last 2 Ryder Cups for this team. Has been a tremendous asset on President's Cup teams. He has been somebody that not only has had a complete career 160 with YouTube, but clearly you haven't seen the way he acts with fans. According to everybody, Bryson's been the guy who actually might be the secret component to this team going into the Ryder Cup. So I love, and it excites the shit out of me to know that the New Yorkers are going to be so hard on guys like Rory McIlroy and Tyrrell Hatton. Someone showed up. John Rahm went up to the first tee. Someone said, Rombo, where's the Ozempic? Only in New York. I absolutely love it. Let's get to what I saw to wrap up the clubhouse chatter of the week. And I saw a post on Twitter that has been swirling. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it right here. Whoa, there. It's a little bit small, so bear with me. But the question was posed, for the rest of your life, if you can only play golf in one of the regions below, unlimited budget, access to any course you want to play, wherever you want, which are you choosing? And I've heard a lot of chatter. People have been saying, oh, D, you can go play Augusta, Pinehurst. You can play Harbor Town. There's a lot of different opportunity there. You can play Big Cedar Lodge as well. But I cannot, and like Seminole, I cannot believe the thrashing that's come on to C. Everyone's like, oh, D. Everyone's saying H because you can go play out in the desert in Utah. You can go play all the beautiful courses in California. Are we forgetting the fact that C has some of the greatest golf in the world? And not to mention one of those being played this week, Bethpage, Wingfoot, Oakmont. You can go play in Indiana, most of Illinois. You have access to Maryland and Potomac. You can go play some of the most beautiful courses in the Massachusetts area, in Connecticut. Like the myriad of beautiful golf. And it's not even the well-known golf courses that you know. I went on a bachelor trip a few weeks ago to the Boston area. I played William Devine. I played the George Wright course. I played Waverly Oaks and Pine Hills. Beautiful golf courses. On top of the fact that you can go play Liberty National and Pine Valley and all these different places that you can't even get access to in general. Even though it's seasonal, I think the beauty of golf comes with the fact that, like, changing of the tides, you go play in the fall, you play in the spring, you play in the summer. It's very different golf courses wherever you go. I cannot believe that C got the kind of thrashing that it got. So this is my official proclamation that C is the best place to go in golf in the world. And I highly recommend, if you're in the Boston area, go check out Highland Links. It's a 9-hole golf course. Go check out courses like Timber Point out in Great River, Long Island. Go and check out places like, oh God, there's an absolute metric shit ton of them. Van Cortlandt Park, the oldest public golf course in the world, in the Bronx. I'm sorry, well, in the country. Go play Oakmont. Go and play courses out in Philly, like Philly Cricket, Wissahickon. You can go and play courses all in the region. Go out and play Aronimink and Pine Hills, all these different places. So many courses to go play. So that's my official proclamation to go and play C. Play the New York area. And you know what? Yeah, great. Cool. You can go play all year long in Florida. The grinder mentality of playing from only March through, let's call it October, is such a fun thing to do for New Yorkers, because then you itch and you itch and you itch November through the next March to really get excited for what's to come in golf the following year. Let's take a short break. On the other side, I'm going to give you my 5 bold predictions for the Ryder Cup, and we're going to get right into beer money. Lots to get to here on Get in the Hole. I'm Stephen McAvoy. Thank you again for tuning in, and
subscribe to Get in the Hole Pod.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by our amazing merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. With their unique designs for all, there's no doubt in our minds you will stand out in the crowd. Rep your favorite golf podcast and get your official Get in the Hole shirts and hoodies at phiapparel.co. When you check out, use code UNDERGROUND to get 10% off your entire order. Again, that's code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your next merch order at phiapparel.co. Stand out in the crowd, on the course, at the 19th hole, or quite frankly anywhere, with the official merch partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Welcome back, everybody, to Get in the Hole. Stephen McAvoy here, breaking down the 45th Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black. So excited to be able to get this show on the road on Friday. This morning was absolutely crazy. Practice rounds took off. Got a lot of information funneling in through Twitter, through Instagram. So I'm going to get you all of that information. But I'm also going to give you 5 bold predictions to look out for at this year's Ryder Cup, all presented by our friends at McGregor Golf. It might be bold talking about the Ryder Cup and talking about what's going to happen this week at the tournament. But what's only more bold is the incredible, incredible, what am I saying? The only thing that's better than the bold predictions that I'm going to give you is the boldness that comes from our friends at McGregor Golf. They are providing the best direct-to-consumer golf experience on the planet. They're rated 2024's best-in-class DTC Company of the Year by MyGolfSpy. They were called, quote, a proven performer that offers a unique value proposition for golfers. And let me tell you, they have everything. From their new Milled series, you can get MyGolfSpy's best driver under $400 in 2025 at only $250. The brand new McGregor golf sets, from their milled collection to their brand new driver, the Golf Tourney Max. You can even get their patented incredible woods collection for the older golfers in your life. Anything from right-handed sets, left-handed sets, lady sets, and even junior sets, on top of the fact that you can get bags, cart bags, range finders, and everything else for the golf course. They are providing the absolute best in service for your game. Whether you're just picking it up, want to get back in, or get your junior involved, McGregor Golf is your spot to go. Check the link in our description and get started today with McGregor Golf. From a brand started all the way back in the early 1900s and gained by some of the biggest names in golf like Jack Nicklaus, you can be just like the pros with McGregor Golf. My 5 bold predictions, and we start off with number 1. And we go right to Team USA. I think that Ben Griffin is going to be a top 3 scorer points-wise for Team USA. Now, hear me out, and there's reasonings behind this. They came out the other day, today, and they forgot who it was. I think it was Underdog, posted about the pairings that are going out for the Ryder Cup this week. We haven't gotten official confirmation on who's going to be paired up, but 2 days in a row have we seen Bryson, Cameron Young, Justin Thomas, and Ben Griffin all in a group. I believe, and I said this 2 weeks ago, I think JT and Ben Griffin are going to be a really interesting combination if they do end up playing together. Even if Griffin is paired up with Cameron Young or Bryson, I doubt Keegan puts 2 rookies together on a team. I think Bryson and Cam really fit their styles together really well. And then JT and Griffin, I think, are 2 really good pairings as well. I think Ben Griffin is going to have an opportunity to do some incredible things on this golf course. And his resume really shows how good he could be. He's one of the best putters on earth. His approach play has been great. His around the green play has been awesome. In his last 5 events, he's finished no worse than T12. And this is at some of the biggest events of the year. The Wyndham, he had a tremendous putting day. Top 10 at the FedEx St. Jude, 12th at the BMW, T10 at the Tour Championship. He's played great at signature events, at the Travelers, top 15, top 10 at the U.S. Open, runner-up at the Memorial. He won the Charles Schwab, finished top 10 at the PGA. Like, he's done what he needs to do to show that he is more than capable of being a powerhouse for this team and for, honestly, years to come. He's having a breakout year at 29. He knows JT well. They played junior golf together for a long time. So I think this pair is a match made in heaven. He's currently the 5th-ranked player in the world, according to Data Golf. So I have no doubt in my mind that Ben Griffin could be a 4-tournament guy and go 2-0-2 or get you 3 points, or go 3-0-1 potentially, and when you 3.5 points. I think it's more than possible that you see Ben Griffin in a premier spot on this team come the end of the week. My second bold prediction, it's very clear, and again, 2 straight days that we've seen this pairing together. Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele. They've won. They're well-known competitors. I remember 3 years ago, I bet them to win the Zurich. They had like a plus 20 on the field when it came to strokes gained overall in their alt shot. I love Cantlay and Schauffele. And the fact that they're coming into this Ryder Cup after an 0-2 run last Ryder Cup, they are determined to right the wrongs. And I really do think that they're going to be able to do it. They lost 2-1 to Fleetwood Mac, Rory McIlroy, and Tommy Fleetwood. They then lost again in the foursome session, 2-1 to John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. I think this is an opportunity for Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele to get back in the winner's circle and prove that they got it. They went out and they played twice in the foursomes in 2021. They won 5-3 over McIlroy and Poulter. They won 2-1 over Westwood and Fitzpatrick. I think they're going to go 2-0 in their format in the foursomes matchup on both days, and th're going to completely flip the 0-2 record from 2023. My third bold prediction, I think there's going to be a session clean sweep, and you're going to hear this again later on in the week. It's plus 270 odds currently on DraftKings Sportsbook, no free ads. In the history of the Ryder Cup, we have seen in 3 of the last 6 Ryder Cups, there was a clean sweep on Friday foursomes in 2023, 2018, and 2016. Of course, 2 of those came in Europe. One of them came back in 2016 at Hazeltine. In the history of the Ryder Cup, we have seen multiple times sessions go 3-1 to a certain team. In 2021, the USA went 3-1 in their first 3 sessions. In 2014 at Glen Eagles, the Euros went 3.5 to 1.5 in 2 sessions. In 2012 at Medina, Team USA went 3-1 in 2 sessions. 2010 at Celtic Manor, the Euros went 2-0. 2 of those matches didn't play that day. And 3.5 to 1.5 in 2 different matches. In 2008 at Valhalla, the USA went 3-1 in one setup. In 2004 Oakland Hills, the Euros went 3.5 to 1.5 and went 3-1 twice. In 2002 at the Belfry, the Euros went 3-1 once. We're constantly seeing teams get right to the precipice of being able to clean sweep around. It definitely won't happen. Sunday singles, that just will not happen. But to see it possibly happen on Friday, we've seen it for the last 3 Ryder Cups, essentially, that the momentum swings to those teams that go off on the opening round. And 3 of those times we have seen a clean sweep on Friday foursome. So I think that we're going to see a session clean sweep. My second bold prediction is going to be the unsung hero of Team Europe. In 5 of his last 6 Ryder Cups, this man has earned at least 2 points. In 3 of his last 6 Ryder Cups, in 3 of his last 6, he's earned 3 or more points. In 2018, he went 2-2. In 2016, he went 2-3. In 2014, he went 3-0-2. In 2012, he went 3-2. And in 2008, he went 3-1. Justin Rose is going to be the unsung hero of Team Europe. And there's a lot of reasons behind this. You look at the history of Justin Rose. We already know he's well established. Last year at the Ryder Cup, he went 1-1-1. Played relatively well, carried for the most part his teammates all the way through to a really strong overall finish. Played with Bobby McIntyre. He had their first match. Went out on day 2 and won the only match for Team Europe on the Saturday 4 balls with Bobby McIntyre as well, 3-2. With the right setup, and I think he'll play again with Bobby Mack, the opportunity is there for Justin Rose, who has one of the best records amongst the active players on this Ryder Cup team, to be able to dominate. He lost his match against Patrick Cantlay in singles last year, but you go back to 2021 at Whistling Straits, again, back to 2018 at LIVGolf National in France, he went 2-2. He managed to win his singles match. He has the ability to dominate for Team Europe if matched in the right way. Even though he's old, he hits the ball straight. He putts the ball really well. He will mesh with a really good slammer of the golf ball going into this week. My final bold prediction, and this goes back to what I said earlier, I believe there's going to be a Sunday singles match between Bryson and Rory McIlroy. It's a random draw, I believe, so it might not happen. But after what we've seen at the Masters, with Rory edging out Bryson, at the U.S. Open, Bryson edging out Rory last year, to see Bryson play Rory after the comments that Rory made, fired the fuck up. I would love to see Bryson play Rory in one of the final Sunday singles. That would be prime time. I would pay $100 pay-per-view to watch that match. And there will be yelling. There will be anxiety. There will be screams. And there probably won't be punches thrown, but there will certainly be some metaphorical jabs being pushed on both sides of the aisle. And those are my 5 bold predictions at this year's Ryder Cup. Ben Griffin, a top 3-point scorer. Cantlay Schauffele going undefeated in the foursomes match. A session clean sweep. Justin Rose leading the way for Team Europe, was one of the unsung heroes. And Bryson playing Rory in a final matchup on Sunday singles. Let's get right into our beer money picks presented by Kenwood Beer. You know, the NFL season is underway, and the Ryder Cup, most importantly, being right around the corner. The only way that you can really get the full experience is with an ice cold Kenwood beer. Only 120 calories, 8 grams of carbs. Some say it's the best light beer they've ever had. Well, we just say you can't beat the original. Head to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Tracker, and find where you can get your hands on some ice cold, refreshing Kenwood beers from your favorite liquor stores in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and the Wells Fargo Center and the Mann Center for all those late concerts to have just before the winter season. Be sure to check out their tall boys at the Mann Center. I'm 21 years or older to do so. Of course, please drink responsibly. And if you're gambling with us, please gamble responsibly in a state that allows betting. We begin with our top American point scorer. Now, I will say I can't afford to get incredibly flashy with some of these top scorer picks, right? Because it all comes down to chance and who's going to be in the most matches. I could very well go, and by the way, this is your public service announcement right now, that you could very much take Scotty Scheffler plus 200 or Bryson at plus 475. I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path here. And I'm going to go with somebody who has a very strong record in the Ryder Cup, who has been here multiple times, has played in 2 Ryder Cups, and has shown that he is capable of being one of the top scorers in certain formats. I'm going to take Patrick Cantlay at plus 900 to lead Team USA. He's wearing a hat. Apparently the hat didn't fit him last go around. He worked with the New Era folks. They got a hat that fits him. He's wearing the hat. Don't have to worry about that. I think him at plus 900 is a shoo-in. He's going to play at least one match. He's going to play both foursomes matches. He's going to play his singles match. He might match up in a 4-ball match. We saw last year he did play in – what did he play in? He played in 4 matches. So you want to talk about odds. You kind of want to hit the guy who's going to play in probably 4 or more. I mean, Scotty's probably going to play in 5 matches. Xander might play in 5. I do think an interesting one here is Russell Henley, who's actually ahead of Cantlay at plus 800. He's likely to match up with Scotty Scheffler, so you might see him in 3 tournaments plus the 4th in singles. But I think Patrick Cantlay is going to be the guy here to lead the Americans in points. We go to our top European point scorer. This guy went 3-0-1 in 2023. He played in 4 matches in 2021. I think Tyrrell Hatton at plus 1,000 is going to be the guy that you want to look out for to lead Team Europe in points. He's currently at even odds with Victor Hovland at plus 1,000. You can get Rory at plus 3, Rahm at 4-1, Fleetwood at 4.5-1, and Oberg at 8.5. But I do think that Tyrrell Hatton is going to be a force. He went 3-0-1 last year. He played in 4 matches the year prior, although going 1-2-1, came very close to being able to gather another point. He can get you 3 points. I think he could lead this team. In my opinion, I think Rory's going to fumble under pressure. I think the American New York crowd is going to be a lot for a lot of these European guys, and I don't care that Luke Donald got them VR headsets to practice, handle heckling and noise. Fuck that. I think it's stupid. I think Tyrrell Hatton, though, he knows what it's like to get booed. He's certainly a grumpy old elf as well in his own right. I think that Tyrrell Hatton is going to be a force for Team Europe going into this Ryder Cup. Top USA captain's pick, or as they call it on DraftKings, their wild card. You know where I'm going here with this one. Ben Griffin plus 500. I already explained it to you. I don't think I need to explain it again. I'm taking Ben Griffin. We go to the European captain's pick, or the wild card here. Probably one of the most slept on players, solely because you don't really know what to expect out of him because he's only played on LIVGolf his entire time. And that's a very clear indicator on where I'm going here. I'm going with the odds-on leader, plus 150, Jon Rahm. Now, Jon Rahm has been a stalwart for Ryder Cup teams. He played 4 matches in each of the last 2 cups. He's 5-1-3 in that period. So he has 6.5 points to his name which is a very impressive track record. Jon Rahm's going to play in 4 to 5 tournaments, matches in this set. I think he's going to be a guy to watch out for, and he's going to be a force for Team Europe. So I think that Jon Rahm plus 150 is a shoe-in here. My gimme selection of the week, again, I said it in my my bold predictions, plus 270. There's going to be a session clean. Sorry, actually, I'm getting way too ahead of myself, guys. This isn't very good. This isn't good. It's not good. Pretend I didn't say that. My gimme pick of the week is going to be on the total halved matches. The current line is 4.5. I'm actually going to take the over here, which is plus 100. The under is at minus 175. The average halved matches in a Ryder Cup in history is 4.58. Now, obviously, that's indicator that we're pretty much on the line here. But in the last 12 Ryder Cups, so every single Ryder Cup this century, there have been 7 that have gone over the 4.5 halved marks and 5 that have gone under. So with those odds, I'm going to go with the plus 100, try and get me some easy money here, some easy beer money to hopefully bet something else live later on in this tournament. Last year, we saw 3 half matches in the second day alone, second day 4-ball. So I think that we could certainly see it, particularly if we have 3 going in to Sunday singles where really it starts to kind of get away. My long shot is going to be from the bold takes, the session clean sweep. Again, 3 of the last 6 Ryder Cups, there was a clean sweep on Friday foursomes. We've seen guys get all the way to the precipice in most Ryder Cups in the last century. I think this is going to be a really interesting play at plus 270. My winner at the Ryder Cup, as the data is showing me, I'm going to take Team USA. The Europeans put out a really touching video for their players, and I think it's really cute that the Europeans are their scripting is an ode to old European Ryder Cup winning scripts, and they put out a whole thing about how it's so hard to win an away Ryder Cup, and they want to talk about like we have an opportunity to do something that very rarely has ever been done. Well, they're right. It is really hard to win an away Ryder Cup, and it is very challenging to fight the demons that are going to come your way from opposing crowds. And it's exactly why I think Europe's going to fold. The Europeans are running it back. The Americans come hungry. Keegan isn't playing. They're playing for Keegan. They want him to dominate. He said it best. We're going to go to Bethpage. We're going to kick their ass. I think everybody, and I think Keegan's going to play it multiple times over for the next few days. When Rory, after winning at Marco Simone, said, the biggest achievement in my career after winning the Grand Slam is going to be to win an away Ryder Cup. They're not going to give him the chance. I think they're going to go out. They're going to punch him right in the throat early. They're going to try and dominate early on. It's going to be a fight. They might win by only a point. But I think if the Americans can go out, show their grit, band together, and stop with I don't even want to call it childish, but the infighting that was occurring allegedly in 2023, if they get down, friendship, partnership, togetherness wins Ryder Cups. I think the Europeans are really good at that, and they have been for a long time, but I think this is a very interesting group of people that Keegan's put together. Some friends, some guys who are relatively new to the group, but I think everybody flows and meshes more than they did in 2023. It's kind of reminiscent of that team in 2021, right? A lot of the same names, too, and a lot of the same faces that were on that 2021 team, with the exception of guys like a Dustin Johnson, and like Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau, Daniel Berger. Like we have Collins still on this team, Cantlay, DeChambeau, JT, Scheffler, Harris English, Xander Schauffele. You're only really replacing a few key guys here. I think Sam Burns is a really good locker room presence. I think Bryson is only getting better as a person with his locker room presence. I think you get a huge boost with Ben Griffin, who's just a funny guy. Spawn's a little bit more quiet, so is Henley, but they bring a certain je ne sais quoi that kind of really stands out. It's a lot different than last year's locker room, and I think this is a American team that's going to band together, fight against Rory's comments, the number 1 player in the world next to Scottie Scheffler. They're going to play for Keegan. And the last away Ryder Cup win came in 2012, and it was a 1-point deficit. That's 2 matches. That's 2 halved matches. That's 1 outright. This team could flip the script pretty well. And by the looks at it, we have almost confirmed pairings of Bryson and Cam Young, Scotty and Russell Henley, JT and Griffin, and Cantlay and Schauffele. I think those are 4 really good pairs that if you put out against most of the guys on Team Europe, you're going to leave them vulnerable in some place. So I think this is a really good opportunity to see what happens. I think the USA can do it. And it's a reason why they're favored, because it's very fucking hard to win a away Ryder Cup. Let's get to the last putt, a new segment where I give you my final thought on the golf world and what I've seen this week, my final opinion before I let you go. And it's about Team Europe. So it came out that the Americans, for the first time ever, are paying their players to participate in the Ryder Cup. They're going to get $200,000. Most of the players are going to give their money to charity, but again, what they do with their money is what they do. Keegan decided to take all of his money and put it towards charity. And when asked about why give the players a stipend, he actually had a really interesting quote. He was like, "Look, we think that they deserve it. That they've been fighting for this for a long time." A European reporter then followed up and asked, "What do you think of the Europeans not doing it for money?" And he goes, "I don't really care about the Europeans. They can do whatever." Luke Donald then later on said, "This isn't a week to get paid. We're doing this for the love of our country." I just want to say, shut the fuck up with this moral high ground bullshit. And the Europeans think, oh, we're doing it for the love of the game. We're doing it for country. Believe me, I'm sure they would love to get paid. Do I think the Americans are kind of overdoing it with saying, oh, we want to get paid? Yeah. You make a lot of fucking money. Like, JJ Spawn won the U.S. Open, probably made the least money out of anybody in this group, and made $3 million on one event. Do I think they could shut up about it? Sure. But I think it's ridiculous. The Europeans want to sit on this moral high standing and denounce the Americans for wanting to get a little bit more money from, honestly, most of it, almost all of it, I'm sure, is going to players' foundations and charities and opportunities that they believe is important. So you know what? If they want to get paid more money to give to charity, good. I support them. I want my guys. It isn't like they're going to get, they're not going to play any less hard. This isn't the NFL. You get paid your big contract and then you doze off in the next 4 years. No. They know what's at stake. And the Americans know if they perform poorly, they're going to hear it. This is the same crowd who boos their MVP players in baseball and hockey and football for having a bad day. You go to a Mets game and Juan Soto goes 0 for 4, they're going to boo him. Aaron Judge goes 0 for 4, they're going to boo him. Igor Shesterkin, Ilya Sorokin give up 4 goals in a game, they're going to boo them. The New Yorkers will let you know if you fuck them over. They will let you know that they spent $1,000 on tickets to the Ryder Cup to watch you lose. They're going to play their hearts out and know that they are not going to let the Europeans get the better of them. And they're not going to let Rory get that away Ryder Cup. Stop the moral high ground bullshit. I don't appreciate it. Let's go, USA. Please. From me and everybody else, kick their fucking ass. That's going to do it all for me here on Get in the Hole, Stephen McAvoy. Once again, be sure to follow us on all of our social medias at Get in the Hole Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Check out our pages on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Of course, if you're already listening to us, leave a 5-star rating and a comment on what you want to see on the show. We love the engagement, but it certainly helps a lot more when you're able to spread the love to other folks who have not been able to reach us. Check out Underground Sports PHI on YouTube and check out all of our amazing podcasts on the Underground Sports Network, from Top Bins to Underground Circuit, OTB, and beyond. I'm Stephen McAvoy. Enjoy the Ryder Cup. We'll see you next week. Let's go, USA. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!